Hello and welcome to Ken and Will Talks, where we discuss the myths and truths about various topics. Today, Will, we are going to talk about startups and Silicon Valley, a place where dreams are made and fortunes are lost.
Yeah, that's right, Ken. We are going to be diving into some of the themes from the first episode of TV series of Silicon Valley, where the main character, who is Richard, has to choose between taking money of Gavin Belson or keeping his own company. That's the main idea.
Actually, it should be quite a difficult choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult decision that many entrepreneurs face, especially in Silicon Valley, where the pressure to succeed is very high.
Yeah, we're going to be discussing the myth and truth about his decision and what it meant for Pied Piper and for the future of his startup.
Nice, nice. So let's
Yeah.
get started.
Yeah, cool. So first episode, I think we are going to look when he's been offered like 10 million from Gavin Belson, and he has to give up the control of the company, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's have
what you have done to the global level.
I'm prepared to give you $200,000.
$600,000 for
10% of your company.
$10 million.
We had a guy in here in almost the exact same situation.
Take the money or keep the company.
He shot himself because he turned down the money?
Yeah. Or no, he took the money. Or no. No, he did not. You know what? I don't remember. But whatever it was, he regretted it so much that he ended up shooting himself, and now he's blind.
Oh, Will, what do you think about this scheme?
I think it's a bit of a classic scenario in the startup world. You have a promising idea and you need to bring it to the fruition, and you need to build the product. I think it's a difficult decision at the same time.
Yeah, and then someone comes along and offers you a lot of money, but with strings attached, as always.
Yes, always strings attached, because the main question is whether you take the money and run, or you hold onto your main vision and build the company. 10 million is still a huge amount of money for a startup to give up a control. But if a person believes in the future of the company and the vision and the core structure of the business, it's better to stick on the idea.
Yeah. And the myth actually is that taking the money is always the right choice, according to people, because it means that you have succeeded in getting an investor interest in your startup, and you can make your business or you can open the new one, and etc.
Yeah, it's called like being a serial entrepreneur, but it doesn't mean that you give up the control of your company. You basically sell, exit, merge. Go into the merging or acquisition. So that's the whole idea. But the truth is that taking money can most of the times mean giving up the main control of the innovating the things and the vision, and that can be a big mistake. But it's a chicken and egg problem. It's more of a close to the gambling.
Exactly. So this is a question. So what should entrepreneurs do when they face this kind of choice?
I think it depends on the several factors. First, if you have to know the market, you have to know what you are building. You have to first and foremost, you have to know the customer you are serving or you want to serve. If you think that the idea is solving a real problem, and it's kind of a painkiller rather than a vitamin, I think it's still a good idea to negotiate with that person, trying to keep the control of the company and also get the money. But it's a very hard and difficult decision to make. Yeah.
So, and the second thing is to consider terms of the investment actually. Will you be
Yeah.
able to maintain control of your company, your vision, or will the investor actually take over and push their own agenda here? This is the main case.
Yeah. I think it's always better to consider the long-term impact of the investment. I mean, most of the investors, they are trying to be passive investors, like they want to put money and not being involved that highly with advising, making intros to other investors, leading the next rounds, and etc. But it depends on the chemistry between the investor and the founder. For the long run, everything should be negotiated wisely in the beginning, and the person should know the industry and technicality, and also should be a person who was previously a founder, not just an operation guy who comes from like top companies and then starts to take the control of the VC firm and runs the venture capital firm. I always run away from operation persons because if a person hasn't been a founder, means that he is not going to get that much involved in innovative ideas that I'm going to push for the product and for the market. Yeah.
So you mean that taking the money is not always the right choice?
I think taking money, yes, is not always the right choice. Depends on the sum of the money, depends on the person who is offering money, depends on the location you are based in. For Silicon Valley, 10 million might be a small number for a startup too, but still a huge sum of money for Richard's startup because they were just developing a product, and I think in the early stage they even haven't had a product. They just had a very buggy version of an MVP. So yeah, I think if I'd been in a situation to choose between Gavin Belson and the other guy, I don't remember the name, but I think Peter Gregory. I would choose go with Peter Gregory and hope that he doesn't die, basically, or what happens to him in the TV series.
So that's the truth about the startups in Silicon Valley. So let's dive a bit deeper, Will, into the decision-making process that entrepreneurs face when considering taking investment money.
I think it's not always a very direct thing to do. There are many factors to take into account, like who is the investor, the terms, the potential impact, company's vision, the culture, and the product itself. These are the main things to take into account.
There is also the question of how much control the investor will have over the company, because some investor may want to take a hands-on approach and steer the company in a different direction, actually, which could lead to conflicts with the founder's vision and etc.
In terms of the investor-founder relationship, it's statistically in US, average marriage lasts approximately 7 years. But the investor and founder relationship lasts up to 10 years. So I would say it's much of a serious relationship rather than two persons are being married, and it's more of a marriage. You marry to an investor, hypothetically you marry, and you have to get along with that person. That's why, from my perspective, getting an investment is not maybe the right thing to do. Maybe the better way is to sell from the early days, at least to get some traction, to validate idea, to see what is wrong and what's right, and then to think about an investor money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Another myth about Silicon Valley is that success is guaranteed if you get funding from a top-tier venture capital firm.
Yeah,
What do you think?
definitely a myth. And sorry for my wording, total BS. But yeah, I can tell a couple of examples. WeWork,
Mhm.
the guy, I think, got most of the renowned investors like SoftBank, Andreessen Horowitz, and the other like the top VC firms to board, and it even wasn't a tech company. It was just a real estate company claiming that they are a tech company, and the evaluation was up to 46 billion, if I remember correctly, and it was diminished to 5 to 6 billion just in a couple of days. So basically, getting an investor money is not the guarantee that you are going to be succeeded, because investors, they want fast returns, and not every startup is an investor related business. That's why I'm a person who is favor of bootstrapping, like selling, actually selling. Yeah, I mean, we talk about the Silicon Valley TV series, and people who watch this, they can remember the scene about the revenue and cost between the 3 Comma guy and Richards. So I think that people who watch this series till the end, they can remember the scene, because most of the top companies, they are losing money. They are very heavily spending on hiring, on other things, so they lose money rather than earning money.
And there are a lot of successful companies that have been bootstrapped actually, without
Yes,
taking any
yes.
external funding.
Yeah, for example, I would say my top list, the top company that I would look into, and I'm still learning from the mistakes and from the lessons, is MailChimp. They didn't get, if I am not mistaken, they didn't get any VC funding at all. And they IPO'd I think 1 or 2 years ago, and it was a couple of billions in the IPO. So they were heavily based on the sales, which I really like. It's a very old-fashioned way, but being profitable is much better than being in debt with the investor money.
And another important factor is to consider that the company's culture, because some investor may not be a good fit for the company's culture.
Definitely. Yeah. So again, I mentioned that most of the VC guys, they are coming from the operations background. They know how to run, how to manage, but that doesn't mean that they know how to deal with founder-related issues.
So, in summary, taking investment money is not always the right choice, right, for entrepreneurs, and there are many factors to consider when making this decision.
Yeah, correct. It's important to think about the company and its vision, about product, and if you are not heavily invested and heavily focused on growing at all costs, I think it doesn't work to take investor money.
Yeah, and actually, that's the truth about startups and Silicon Valley, our dear friends.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very glimpse of the things.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for watching our talks where we discuss the myths and truths about various topics. We hope you all enjoyed this episode on startups and Silicon Valley and in general all our discussions, conversation, which will be continued for the next hour.
We'll have several topics to discuss every week, and we are going to watch different episodes of Silicon Valley TV series, that the tech agenda that is very trendy at the moment, and what's happening in the tech and startup industry. And also, if you have any comments, please leave them below. Would love to hear from you and get in touch as well. So we are not showing our faces. It's for the reason we want to keep it things very interesting and exciting. And when we reach 100,000 subscribers, we are going to reveal our faces, and you will see who we are.
Yeah, and you will see who we are because we're actually quite famous people in all our background. And I believe you will learn a lot from our conversation, from our talks. And even you can download and use it as a podcast. So try to follow our meetings, our talks. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to get updates on our latest episodes. Thanks again for watching.
Yeah, thank you, and see you the next time.
See you the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.